Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 12 of The Boot Report. My name is Noah Cavanaugh, and today we're going to be talking all about the brand new Hypervenom 1 release. We are going to be going through all of the performance benefits of this model compared to the original, comparing the two for this week's boot comparison, and of course, answering all of your questions. Now, let's talk latest colorway drops. So we got two of the Hypervenom releases. We, of course, got these absolutely beautiful launch colorway in the orange and black. This was the original one that Neymar wore during his Barcelona debut when he came over to Europe from Santos. And this is an absolutely stunning pair of football boots. I think it looks even more aggressive with the new traction, the hyper reactive sole plate from the Hypervenom Phantom 3. We'll get into that a little bit later. We also got the white and blue one, which I'm actually not sure if I'm allowed to show you yet. Technically, they launched, but yeah, this video comes out. Oh, this video comes out on Sunday, so I think we're fine. But this is the blue one. I'll just give you a quick cameo, and then we'll get that out of the way. You guys will have to wait till I release my full video on that one. So very, very cool Hypervenom 1, and we'll be talking a bunch today about the Hypervenoms, including like resale market stuff, and there's been some drama that's been going on in the boot world. So Hypervenom 1 in orange, Hypervenom 1 in blue. We also got the Zidane Predator Precisions, so the ones that I leaked a couple weeks ago. Those are coming to stores around the world. Theoretically, I think on Adidas, they're already live, so that's really cool. And then we also got the new, Adidas did a great F50 Mo Salah top scorer boot that's got an eagle or a hawk or something, some sort of bird of prey on it, as well as some green and blue elements. They look really beautiful, in my opinion. Not a huge fan of the F50 line, just as a general boot, but I really like this special edition colorway, and I also think it's really cool as, yeah, Mo Salah deserves it. He absolutely has killed it this year. Team won the title, top goal scorer, and deserves every bit of accreditation that he gets. So that is, in terms of latest colorway drops, other than the Hypervenom, which of course is kind of the biggest thing that we will talk about this week, there wasn't a whole lot of proper drops. I think, again, we're still in that lull before the absolute onslaught of tournament packs. I suppose we did get the Adidas gold and purple pack, but we talked about that last week. Those are pretty cool, but we haven't really seen anything else other than Hypervenom. So that's really latest colorway drops. Now, in terms of new boots in the shop, there's a pair of Mizunos that I can't show yet because those are coming soon, and then the two Hypervenoms. So you guys saw those. So those are the three boots that I went out to the pitch yesterday and play tested. So you will see reviews of those coming very soon. As of the filming of this video, expect this guy to drop exactly 24 hours after this podcast drops. So that will be coming out very, very soon. And then the white and blue ones, what are they called? Transform Aqua, Transform Hydra. That's pretty cool. So Transform Hydra colorway will be coming out probably in a couple days to a week after this video drops. So just be aware of that. But all the technical information in terms of performance, they operate essentially the same aside from the feeling of the upper on the ball. So there's a very subtle difference between the two boots. And so you'll get a chance to see that in both of those videos. So, but definitely all the tech specs and all the history and stuff are in this one. So just also as an aside, I also am going to do a overhead camera for podcasts now. So you guys can see kind of up close and personal the boots I'm talking about, as well as when we do the full comprehensive comparison between this one and the OG model, which is very, very cool. So those are the new in the shop. Now, in terms of boot leak releases, now this is the section of weekly news that I am going to rant a little bit here, and you guys are getting a world exclusive because I'm a little frustrated. I got to be honest with you. I have been putting boot leaks on my Instagram page forever, the YouTube forever, and this podcast forever since its inception, not that long ago, 3 months ago. And this is the second time that this has come up. One was sort of a theoretical or a hypothetical situation, and this is actually a situation that affects people outside of myself. Let me explain. Not too long ago, for the second time, I was told that some undisclosed brand came to Ultra and basically was like, Noah has to stop doing leak releases. Otherwise, there may be consequences. It's very up in the air. It's very ethereal. Ultra has nothing to do with this, but they are the ones getting hurt or threatened because whatever brand doesn't have the to come and talk to me in person. This drives me absolutely insane. This is like the most obnoxious cowardice, in my opinion. If a brand doesn't want it's one thing if it's a faceless channel like Footy Headlines, right? A faceless blog, whatever you want to call a website, whatever you want to call it. First of all, every single leak that I've put out is on Footy Headlines. That's where I get my information. It has nothing to do with Ultra. All the leaks that I've been putting out are from Footy Headlines, a publicly available website. But it's really easy when it's a faced channel, a personal brand like myself, for a brand to come in and be like, well, we can shut him up by sabotaging the relationship he has with one of our trusted resellers or retailers. But they won't go straight to me. This is the second time this has happened. I'm not somebody who's going to back down from a conversation. You can talk to me like a normal adult human being. You can say, hey, we'd prefer it if you didn't. It's coming from the source. We really want to support you in your relationship. Maybe come to one of our events, do that kind of stuff. Just like every other influencer around the world. Great. Sounds great. I'm happy to stop doing leaks. But number one, you're the one at fault because your company can't shut its goddamn doors. So don't sit here and blame me for sharing stuff that's publicly available literally everywhere on the web, on the web. You're just angry at me because I'm a distribution channel. So that is pathetic to me. Fix the leaks in your own bucket before you start pointing fingers and blaming other people. I get it. It's a big company. And who cares? Don't start going after somebody else because you're angry and you can't put a cease and desist on me. So whoever higher up at that company wants to come talk to me like an adult, please do. I would welcome the conversation. It would be, for me, my reaction would be, finally somebody has the gall to come and just have a real talk. It's okay if you don't want leaks on my channel. I get it. Okay. Moving on to section 2, boot talk. So we are going to do a weekly boot comparison between the new Hypervenom Regen. Even though nobody really suggested this, I think this is going to be very timely. We are going to do this one and the original. Let me grab the original. Okay, so we have an original pair of Hypervenom. Let's see if I can extend this microphone. Hypervenom Phantom 1, as you can see, absolutely beautiful. Super, super nice in this black, white, and silver colorway, and green. The split toe sole plate, these are used. You can see kind of on the studs and stuff, they have worn down a little bit. I have worn these into the ground quite a bit, but I absolutely love them. So comparing these to the Hypervenom Phantom 1 Regen. Now, in terms of what you guys like, I'm curious to know down in the description box below, before we get into my own opinions, which one out of these two are you going to choose? So we're going to go over sole plate, upper, heel comfort, performance, design, lace area, and X factor. Okay, so let's start off with a sole plate. So for those of you who don't know, the Regen is obviously the Hypervenom 1 upper, slightly modified, with the 1-to-1 sole plate of the Hypervenom 3, the hyper reactive sole plate. For me, this is a no-brainer. Hypervenom 3 is obviously, for those of you who are living under a rock or have never seen my content before, number one, welcome to the channel. Number two, Hypervenom 3 is my favorite boot of all time. Therefore, sole plate wins. Hyper reactive sole plate on the Regen takes the sole plate. Do I think the Hypervenom 1 sole plate is really good? Yes. And I just don't think it's enough or balanced enough or sort of secure enough for me in terms of looking at this as a whole package. So let's assume that this was version number 1. This was Hypervenom Phantom 2, for instance. I know Hypervenom 2 sucked, but like, let's just imagine that's the case. That's how we're sort of comparing them. I'm not comparing them as a remake versus the OG. That's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be like, okay, objectively, what is the best football boot out of the two? And there is an answer to this, which may surprise some of you. So now let's move on to the upper. Now, originally I had written down tie for this one because if you guys can see from the outside, they look almost identical. Now, this is one of those things where you really just have to, let's see if I can stretch the microphone. This is something where you really have to, these are obviously a lot more worn. I've worn these probably anywhere between 15 and 20 hours total probably, and they look, obviously very broken in, incredibly soft. These I've worn for a total of about an hour and a half, 2 hours now in terms of the playtest. Definitely a little bit more structure. Now, for those of you, I don't want to spoil my review because I don't want to make it, I don't want to sort of take away from that review. I know most of you watching this will also watch my review, and way more people will watch the review than will watch this video. But the bottom line is that there's a slight difference in the way that these two uppers are constructed. From what I understand, it's a 3-layer upper-ish. There's the polyurethane coating, which is what you would think of, what most people think of as the Nike skin part of it. So it's that waxy outer layer that's got this really beautiful kind of feeling to it on ball. There's the middle layer, which is a super, super thin textile, like mesh material that moves and has not a lot of, basically zero structure to it. And then there's a really small, really thin suede liner that acts as sort of a cage. Now, the cage, if you will, on the original has a lot of mobility and isn't as structured as the Regens. So the question becomes, for the upper, which one do you prefer? Which is why I sort of originally had said it's a tie. That being said, after trying and really testing both of them, I'm actually going to give the upper to the Regen. The reason for that, and don't hate me for this, actually I don't even care, you can hate me all you want. If you look at this from an objective performance perspective, once you broke in the original boots, they tend to lack a little bit of lockdown, particularly because on both models, this lacing system area isn't really that deep and it's not that wide, which is part of the magic of this upper because it very much feels like it's sort of this incredible sock-like sensation around your foot. Like it is very incredible on feet. I love Nike skin. But there's not a whole lot of adjustability after you've stretched the polyurethane upper out, right? After that structure has sort of gone away. You still have the suede liner, but it doesn't really prevent the boot from continuing to stretch, which is part of the reason why I went through so many goddamn pairs when I had one. I loved them, and I think I went through 6 or 7 pairs in a season because I broke through the upper on this side because they kept stretching and stretching and stretching. With the new ones, even though they're totally broken in now and they've already stretched a little bit, it feels like they're a little bit more robust. So you still have all the magic of that Nike skin feeling and that grippy, waxy sensation. It's very beautiful, still that Nike skin OG feel, but it has a little bit more structure and sort of gusto to it, which I love. So the upper is going to actually go to the Regens. Now we move on to the heel area. Now this may just be a colorway difference. This heel area on the originals is really, really slippery. So it's got this like synthetic leather. It's like a synthetic, and you can hear it. Listen to this. Right? And then if I do the Regen model, so there's really nothing that, it's like a matte finish, and it feels like it has much more sort of solidity to it, even though the construction's the same. This one does feel a lot more slippery and kind of gross. Now, I had originally been like, oh, do we just give it a tie because it's maybe a colorway issue? It's not a colorway issue. I've had 2 other pairs. At Ultra has a bunch of dead stock of like, 1 pair of iconic colorways of different boots. And in the video that I did for them, they have the Neymar Diamond Ice colorway. It's the same type of heel as this one. So it's kind of got that kind of shiny leatherette-like feeling to it. that is really, it's really slippery and it's not as good. So I'm actually giving the heel area to the Regen, believe it or not. In terms of comfort, now this is where, in my opinion, the Hypervenom 1 original really shines, because it's got, like I was saying in the earlier section about the upper material, even though I think objective performance on the Regen is better, from the upper construction, I do think that the comfort of the original is just unmatched. I think this Nike, there's a reason why this Nike Skin upper is so iconic. It's so soft. You try these boots on, you break them in, and it's like, holy man, these are amazing. These are such a comfortable pair of football boots, and they just wrap your foot like a second skin. So definitely going to the Hypervenom 1. Now, if we move to performance, this one's going to be a pretty easy category, especially with the upgrade from the sole plate area. This is going to go, and the upper, this is going to go to the Regen. The genuine performance upgrades that you get, and the more locked in feeling while still not sacrificing all the magic of the Nike Skin is pretty remarkable. I applaud Nike for making a boot like this and not just going. Because here's the thing. So the CTR 360 remake, CTR, can't speak English today. CTR 360 Maestri 3 remake, the yellow and black ones that we got, what was it? Almost a year ago now? Really cool to do a one-to-one. I love when brands do one-to-one remakes because I think it's heritage, it's fun, it sort of takes advantage of all of the awesome nostalgic feelings that players of my era have for those boots, and Iniesta and et cetera, et cetera. But this is like taking that to 11, because they took two OG boots that we all really loved. Like, I don't think I've ever met a person who has been like, the Hypervenom 3 and the Hypervenom 1 were objectively horrible boots. I hate them. If I say Hypervenom 3 is the best boot of all time, sure, some people are going to argue with that, and fair play, right? Like, everyone's got their own thing. But I really haven't met Hypervenom 1. Maybe has one or two people that I've met that have been like, oh, I just really didn't like it, didn't get along with me. Fair enough. But Hypervenom 3 was such a just good pair of football boots that adding aspects of that boot to this boot make this such a great performer in terms of like a remake. So that to me was a hats off to Nike for doing that. So that's in terms of performance. Now, in terms of design, I think this is going to be personal preference. Obviously, they're identical in terms of the actual, like, not colorway, but the what am I trying to say? The paint job, I guess, or the lines. Like the general design is the same, right? Like, all the logos are in the same place, all the lines are in the same place. It's just a colorway difference. So I think really the question comes down to, do you like the silo that has the conical stud pattern from a sideways view, or do you like the one that's got the little bit more aggressive traction of the Hypervenom 3 sole plate? So I'm actually going to give design a tie. I think it's just going to be personal preference at the end of the day, and design is pretty subjective. If you're asking me, for the sake of this comparison, it's a tie. But if you're asking me, I think the Regen actually looks a little bit better because of those chevron studs on the outside, on the lateral side. It just makes the profile of them look a little bit more venomy. Like, it's very aggressive. It's like Nike could have put the Phantom Venom sole plate on here, and I would have thought the same thing. Very kind of a little bit more aggressive, a little more like the original advertisement with the snake fangs and stuff. Like, that's really cool. Okay, lace area, don't have to talk about that at all. They're the exact same, so it's a tie. And then the X Factor, I think the X Factor has to go to the Hypervenom 1. I think Hypervenom 1 absolutely has to go into the X Factor category, because you can't deny how special and different this boot was from everything else on the market, and how different it is from every other Nike product that's been created. There have been some things that have come kind of close to this, including uppers from the Street Gato series, believe it or not, so the futsal series. But there really hasn't been anything else that has come close to this Nike Skin upper, or the sort of stiffness and agility feel that you get from this sole plate. Is it my favorite sole plate? No, but it is a very, very good sole plate. So I think the X Factor has to go to the Hypervenom 1. So where does that leave us? Sole plate. So Regen has 1, 2, 3, 4 categories and 2 ties. So 6 points. And then the Hypervenom 1 has 1, 2, and 2 ties. So 4 points. So that is the comparison. In my opinion, if we're talking objective, just performance and everything, the Regen is a better football boot. You can hate me all you want, but in terms of objective performance at a high level, at an intense level, this is a better football boot, which is pretty cool. So that is going to be your weekly boot comparison. Now moving on to hashtag Wear Your Boot Wednesday. You too can submit on Wednesday, whenever it is Wednesday your time, wherever it is in the world. Most likely I will be ahead of most of you, so it'll be like Thursday my time, Wednesday your time, which is great. And you can go to Instagram, tag me at noah.cavanaugh. Got to be visual on the little screen and stuff. On the little screen, on your story, I should use actual terms. And then you do hashtag Wear Your Boots Wednesday. So we are running that up. So we have 2 runners up and then we have a winner this week. The 2 runners up that I want to mention, one is a little bit satirical and I think it's hilarious. And the other runner up is like a proper runner up. So the satirical one is at gtx.aant, something G Texas ant something. Had a pair of white, red, and black Morelia Neo 4s, I believe they were. They were the non-beta edition. I don't know if they were elite. I couldn't tell if they were elite because the boots were so close to the camera. You couldn't really see anything else. They looked like the made in Japan ones, but I could be wrong. Had a Morelia Neo 4 Elite with, they had stitched on the Nike Premier folded, the white Nike Premier fold over tongue. When I tell you, I have not had more confused, negative, positive, like there was just an outpouring of DMs that I got from posting that, because GTX AANT posted, that was probably I think that was the first Wear Your Boots Wednesday post that went out quite a bit, like several hours before everyone else. So that was the only one that had shown up. And there were 20 odd some DMs, not just like comments, direct, like responses to that story that were like, what the fuck is this? Like they were crazy. And I was like, oh my God, this guy has hit some sort of nerve. And fair enough. I don't know. When you put, the crazy part is here. So Morelia Neo 4 obviously doesn't have a fold over tongue. So let's put a fold over tongue on there. That's not even a Mizuno fold over tongue. It's a Nike fold over tongue. And oh, by the way, Nike Premiers with the fold over tongue don't have a elastic strap that goes around the bottom of the boot. So let's put a strap onto the Nike Premier tag on a Mizuno boot. Absolute monstrosity. But you know what? I love it. If that's what floats your boat, rocks your ship, whatever you want to say, like, do your thing, dude. Do your thing. Don't let anyone else tell you what to do. So then we have the proper runner-up for me, which was at bootnerd_sniper with a pair of beautiful Asics C3, and I believe is AG. So these are a Japan exclusive Asics product Asics product that are a direct competitor with the Morelia 2. So the classic, where do we have one? Down here. So Morelia 2. So this is obviously the Mizuno equivalent of that boot, and the C3 is the same exact construction. I've only ever seen it in photos with an AG sole plate, actually not too dissimilar from this one, except the studs are going to be slightly less round. So they're going to have a little bit they're going to be a little bit smaller. That's the AG sole plate. But in terms of construction, they actually look very similar to this. And it's kind of interesting because Asics and Mizuno Japan products, for instance, DS Lite X Fly 5 and Morelia Neo 4 non-beta, almost look identical, with obviously the Asics and the Running Bird logo from Mizuno kind of the biggest visual differences. This one and the C3, same idea. Very, very similar in terms of visuals, but they just have, they come from different brands, and the leather quality is going to be probably about the same. A lot of people have asked me about those. I would really love to get a pair of C3s in because I think I would personally really enjoy them, and it'd be cool to compare them to the Morelia 2, which is obviously a goated football boot. So yeah, we'll see if I can get one of those in. And then we have the winner, which I got to be honest with you, this was a little bit of a flex, but it's episode 12. We're 12 weeks in, 3 months in. And I figured I wanted to win this week. So I posted a Wear Your Boots Wednesday of the Hypervenom Phantom 3 in the orange. You guys will see it up on screen, but I think that takes the cake for this week. So thank you all for posting. We had some really cool ones. We had a pair of the new DNA 2s in silver and gold. We had a beautiful gold pair of Diodora Brazils, which was really cool, from Las Vegas football, I think. Las Vegas something. Yeah. Very, very dope as well. And yeah, some awesome Wear Your Boots Wednesday. Okay, moving over to performance breakdowns. Now, this is going to be an interesting section because I want to talk a little bit about Hypervenom 1 without stealing the show for the Hypervenom 1 or the Transform Hydra. I have to remember Hydra. Hydra is the villains in the Captain America Winter Soldier and like the Captain America world in the Marvel universe. So that'll help me. Transform Hydra. So Hypervenom 1, I was really surprised with this boot because out of the box, it does feel a little bit softer, or excuse me, a little bit less soft than the original version. The original version was like buttery soft. This one is still really, really soft, but it's not quite. Obviously, I love the way this boot is shaped, the way it fits, the way it feels with some break-in time, and I obviously absolutely adore this Hypervenom 3 sole plate. But the question really was, can this package be put together to create something special? And I was, without completely spoiling it, I was so impressed with these. In terms of the way that these feel in comparison to the originals makes me feel like Nike went back to the drawing board and went, like they always did in the past, how can we create a pair of boots that everyone loves, Hypervenom 1, but dial it up to 11 and make it not only nostalgic and great and all the best parts of what that boot was, but how can we also make it better than it was? And we saw this with, in my opinion, with the 2014 F50 Adizero remakes in the kind of panda with the gold accent colorway for the World Cup. The Hybrid Touch remakes that had the Carbitex insert in the Speedflow sole plate. Same idea there. Let's take our classic, everybody loves Hybrid Touch, and let's put an even better updated sole plate on there. That's what happened here, and I love that they did that. So in terms of performance breakdown on the Hypervenom 1, that's all I really want to say because I don't want to spoil the rest of the video. Now, the other boot that you guys will see very soon is the Monarcida. Now, I told you about these a couple weeks ago in the boot report. These are technically the takedown Morelia Neo, even though it's a different name. So this is the Mizuno Monarcida Neo, which is like a different model. It's like, if you imagine like silos or like different, this is like Monarcida is like kind of half underneath. It'd be like on par with the Morelia Neo 4 Elite kind of. And then the Monarcida is like a Asian market only, Japan market only style boot that's a little bit wider and maybe not as like premium in terms of what the marketing is around it. But I tell you what, dude, the Monarcida Neo is absolutely fantastic. It feels incredible. It performs incredible. It's got all of the best. I mean, this one in the Wagyu leather is special as well because this Wagyu leather is nutso in terms of how soft it is. And I love what they have done here with this upper. This synthetic leather is really thin. It's not quite as thin and pliable as the made in Japan non-beta Morelia Neo 4, but that's to be expected for a boot at this price point. But this synthetic tongue didn't bother me at all. Performed great. The heel liner is amazing. It's that micro suede that we get with all the made in Japan models. And then you also have the Neo 4 sole plate. So it's like all the best versions of everything just put in a less expensive package. Seems like a freaking good deal to me. Monarcida is going to be one of, in terms of performance, the Monarcida will absolutely be a boot that I will start to recommend to people with wide feet. I just think It is a boot that if you don't live in California, and you are somebody who can ship from Japan or through Tokyo Football or somebody in the Asian market, I would strongly recommend, if you have wide feet and you really want a Mizuno product, if you can't get the Morelia Neo 4 non-beta version, I would strongly recommend the Monarcida if you have wide feet. I was super, super blown away by it. Should I be surprised? Probably not, because Mizuno products are freaking insane and they're amazing. However, I was pretty shocked, to be honest. Because for the base Monarcida, like the Monarcida Elite or whatever it is, not the Innovation Pack one, but like the normal edition one, they're pretty reasonably priced in terms of like under $200 USD. And to get that kind of quality out of a boot like that, nothing else on the market even comes close if you want a leather product at that price point. Like they're pretty amazing. And they fit my feet perfectly because of how they're a little bit wider. Okay, moving on to pro versus retail models. Now, this section is going to be sponsored by a follower of the channel named Christian. Christian, I'm just kidding. You are not paying me, and I am using your questions because they're really good, but they're related to pro versus retail models. So I thought instead of using your question in the question section, we'll just use your questions like we did a couple weeks ago in this section. So Christian asks 2 questions. We'll go through the first one first. Why do some players wear older models? I've seen a few wear Vapor 15s. And then the follow-up question really is, why does Ronaldo wear an older colorway of the Mercurials? I've only seen him wear the boots he headlines a few times. Okay, so great question, or great 2 questions. So why do players wear older models? Now, there's a couple different scenarios that we have to consider here. One is the player is running out their contract. So their contract is maybe a month or 2 away, and they're not getting any new models in, and maybe some of their the newest colorways have broken, or they just don't want to wear them anymore, or it's a personal preference thing. That's one situation. Another situation is they've completely stopped their contract with, in this one, you mentioned both Ronaldo and Vapor. So let's keep it in the Nike family. And this is not, I mean, again, nothing against Nike in this situation. It's just how it works sometimes. Let's say I was sponsored by Nike and today is May 30th. Let's say that on May 30th, on June 1st, I run out of contract. So I'm no longer beholden to Nike, but I don't have anyone else lined up. What's the probability that I have a bunch of other boots lying around? Assuming I'm not who I am and I'm not a boot enthusiast. Let's assume I'm just like a player who is at the top level and I'm doing my thing. Really, the only boots that I've got lying around are Nike boots at this point, especially if I've been sponsored for several years. So the probability of me just going into my locker and picking up the Nike boots that I loved the most and wearing them, for the case of this, this particular pro wearing a pair of Vapor 15s instead of the new 16s, that's a really common thing to happen. And I think the third situation is where Ronaldo's at right now, which is, let's do that separate. So the third situation is that there's pretty much unlimited options when it comes to contract negotiations. So there's a world where a pro, if I got approached by Nike and Nike said, hey, we want to sponsor you, but we can't give you a ton of money, blah, 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 I might negotiate, hey, I will wear whatever boots you send me for one game when that colorway first comes out, and then I will wear whatever I want the rest of the time, as long as it's a Nike boot, right? In that silo. So if I'm a Vapor player and I wear, let's say what's the most recent Vapor? They've all been signature colorways recently. The Vinny Jr. and the Mbappe ones. I don't remember what the latest one was because they're all random victory pack names. Anyway, let's assume, let's go with the blueprint one, the one that I have up here, which is the original launch colorway with the white and the blue. So original one with white and the blue comes out, and I go, cool. I only have, for a new model, the Vapor 16, that's the first one. I have to wear them for 3 games to build that hype. Then I can go back to whatever Vapor 15 I loved, or Vapor 14, or whatever other Nike Vapor generation I really love. That can be a possibility. Now, moving on to your second question, which is about Ronaldo. So in the situation of Ronaldo's 40 years old. So I'm going to argue, and I think most switched on boot enthusiasts would argue, he's no longer the face of Nike football. He used to be. He's got a lifetime deal with them, but there's been some rumors that he's sort of in and out of, he's not as like in it with the group anymore. And, you know, he's trying to do his thing on the football pitch, but he's not causing problems. I think there's just been tension between him and Nike. And so I think at this point, he's sort of wearing whatever he wants now because he's not the headliner. Vinny Jr. is getting boots now. Mbappe's getting boots now. Other players are going to start getting boots now. You look at who wore the hype, not that Ronaldo would ever wear the Hypervenoms, but you saw players like Cole Palmer, who's not a GX player. He's a Vapor player. So he started wearing Hypervenoms. You know, all these not up and coming, but like established and up and coming athletes are now the face of Nike. So Ronaldo's not really in the picture anymore, I don't think, from a marketing standpoint. Sure, for some things, but really not anymore. And so you have to kind of say to yourself, well, he's not a headliner anymore. So of course he's not going to be he's going to wear whatever he wants now, because in the situation that I spoke about before, it's not that his contract is running out because he's got a lifetime deal, but his footballing career, and he's out of the limelight now a little bit more compared to these other guys who are playing big ball in Europe and like all that stuff. So that's just the way that it works in the pro football boot market. So, all right, boot culture and trends, just like I predicted last week and the week before and the week before that, resellers are going absolutely nuts with Hypervenom re-releases. Now, I told you what would happen. Resellers, as soon as Hypervenom 1 Regen comes out, and everybody misses out on them because of the fact that there weren't that many pairs and they sold out almost instantaneously, the smart resellers all of a sudden start posting all of their Hypervenoms that are the OG versions because they'll sell them for way over retail because of the hype of these regen versions. Great business, but I called it. So that's all we're going to talk about in terms of boot culture and trends. All right, so this is going to be a long section, so buckle up. This is behind the scenes industry talk, and this has absolutely... My phone has been just a nightmare of messages and commentary and videos and, oh my God, so much stuff following the release of the Hypervenom 1. And it's the resellers versus the enthusiasts battle. And I have some thoughts. I've got them all written down, so excuse me for not looking straight at the camera, but this is where I think people get it wrong. And I think a lot of people who I respect highly, and I think all of your opinions are legit, and those are your opinions. This is my opinion, and I think people need to relax a little bit when it comes to resale market stuff. This is my opinion. So, people often say that there's a difference between a scalper and a reseller. However, let's talk real English. If you look up the definition of a scalper, it's a person who resells shares or tickets at a large or quick profit. Insert shares or tickets for boots, products, whatever you want, experiences, whatever you want. So isn't a reseller just that same thing? Looking for underpriced things and then overpricing them to make money? Like, that's just business. So in my opinion, I think scalpers did exist, and I think they still maybe do in some pockets of the market, but I think most of the market has since washed out the people who were really big problems. And now I think we can just simply say they're all resellers. Because I don't think categorizing resellers and scalpers in the same conversation I think scalpers, that feels like a very negative thing, even though the definition of scalper is basically what a reseller does. It's a person who sells or shares ticket at a large or quick profit, right? Like that's what it is. So it's pretty much the same thing. So for the conversation that I'm going to be talking about, I'm only going to be referring to the people who take they'll take a retail pair or they'll get it from the factory and they'll resell it for an upmarked price to capitalize on hype, right? So how do we differentiate the two types of people in terms of enthusiast, scammer, boot collector, all those people? I believe that the real problem is scammers. I don't think it's I truly believe it is not resellers. Resellers are not the problem. And I think this problem is very complex as well. So it depends on where you live and what market you're in and what you have access to, et cetera, et cetera. Scammers are the problem. I don't necessarily have a problem with people. And in fact, I don't have a problem with people trying to buy and flip something for a profit. That's just business. And if you're not good with that type of business, don't involve yourself in boot collecting, car collecting, real estate market stuff, like anything. Like just don't be a part of the free market. Because being a part of the free market means people are going to take undervalued things, create hype around them, and then sell them for a higher ticket so they can make money. That's called business. So when people complain about, if I'm a reseller and I go and buy a pair off of Unisport and a pair off of Ultra and a pair off of soccer.com and a pair off of 11 Sports and whoever other, and Nike.com and whoever else, and then I hold them and then I sell them for 2x, that's a business move. So if you don't want to be a part of it, don't vote with your money. The market decides what things are worth. So the market could have decided that this remake was BS. And in fact, there's a great example of a Nike remake that came out not that long ago that the resale market was like, we couldn't be bothered really. And guess what that one is? You guessed it, Vapor 1 Regen. Because nobody cared about that boot. Because as soon as all the reviews started coming out being like, okay, it's fine, but like, it's really not that great of a boot, even if it's like nostalgic and whatever. Then they created 3 colorways of it and people just weren't that excited. That's why resellers tried to get them. And I would imagine there's quite a few resellers. And in fact, I've seen the Regen boots for like not that much more than retail, if at all. Whereas these ones have a lot more hype because there's a lot more history of people who are still, here's my analysis. The people who loved R9 in 02, 98 to 02 to 03, 04, in that era where Vapor 1 was a thing, they are now way older and maybe not playing football anymore. So they're not going to be the generation that buys, remake football boots. Most of those guys probably aren't even paying attention to what's on the boot market because they're all in Copa Mundials and they just don't give a shit. There's a sweet spot though of the people like me who grew up in the early 2010s when we were teenagers, getting hyped out of our minds about the original version of the Hypervenom 1. We are now still playing, still excited about football boots and technology. And this is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to us in my cohort because we are that perfect ICP, ideal customer profile or persona. So it's not the fault of a reseller for capitalizing on a bullish market and a bear market. A bullish market means rising prices and investor optimism, i.e., we're really excited about this. Hype is real. We need to pay more money for this. Scammers, on the other hand, are those who sell boots that, number one, they don't actually own yet. So I've seen where a reseller or a scammer, not a reseller, a scammer will literally copy a photo from another, a legit reseller's website, put it up on their story for, let's say, $50, $100 more and try to sell it, understanding that they'll go try and get a deal with the original reseller to try and like barter that price. So that's really scammy to me. That's number one. Number two, and also, by the way, that's not the same as a pre-order. A pre-order is product is already on the way or in production, and we are taking money for the thing that we can guarantee we can give you. Different thing. Number two is we sell something. A scammer will sell something and never hand over shipping information or anything like that. And I got to be honest with you, I've been scammed with a pair of football boots that were very valuable. And it sucks. And it really is shitty. And I hate it. And I don't like it for anyone. And there were signs that I didn't listen to because I was too bought into the hype of owning a pair of football boots that I had always wanted, but never could afford when I was a kid. So that's a thing. And number three is, of course, the obvious one, which is like taking money and ghosting, blocking, or ignoring you. So that leads us to this ongoing battle that I've seen recently between boot enthusiasts and resellers. And there's a lot of calling names and a bunch of petty bullshit that gets involved online. It's all faceless. They're all, some obviously like myself, my personal brand, I have a face behind it. And when I say something online, people can imagine me saying it. And sometimes I do actually say it out loud on video or something like that. But for the most part, a lot of these boot resale pages and enthusiast pages like don't actually have faces involved. So it ends up just looking like a bunch of a bunch of random usernames, just like bitching and moaning at each other in the comments section. And it's really pathetic, if I'm honest. And they're just arguing about either semantics or they're arguing about nothing. And so it's gotten really blown out of proportion because these boots were so hyped up for so long because we found out about them. They were leaked almost 2 months ago now, or a month and 6 weeks ago or something like that. And then obviously the boots technically launched, like the soft launch of all the media people put reviews out, 2 weeks ago or so now. And then in the last 24 hours, that's when all the retailers, including Nike, actually launched the boots and they sold out. Like Ultra, I got some BTS info for you guys. Ultra sold out in like it was some ridiculous, like 68 seconds or something like that. Like they were gone just out of curiosity. So I wanted to get a pair for one of my best friends who spoke at my wedding, and she and I trained together all throughout college, and she used to wear the regular Hypervenoms, the OG colorway too, when we first started training together, like my freshman year in college. Like she is one of my best friends. She and her boyfriend are freaking amazing people. Shout out, you know who you are. And I wanted to get a pair for her. I don't get any special treatment. So other than the pair that I wore for the review, and therefore, yeah, I get it for free. So this one, obviously, but I don't get a second pair for somebody, like I don't get special treatment for the other pairs that I want if I want them. So I wanted to grab a pair for her, and I was on the website right when they launched, and I bought the pair immediately. I was logged in already to the Ultra page. I bought them for full retail price in her size. And just out of curiosity, I went back to the link, no word of a lie, 30 seconds later, and every single size was sold out. And I was like, whoa. I was like, holy shit. So it was insane how quickly they sold out. So that brought up a bunch of, because purchasing stuff like this, like everyone on the market doesn't need this boot, including myself. I don't need this. I want it. If I had no football boots and I wanted to go play for a team, I would need a pair of football boots. This would not be what I would buy. I would buy something way more. I would buy a Mizuno Morelia 2 or something like that. Something that was just really durable, really basic. This is not a need product. So my point in saying that, purchase psychology and consumer psychology says we purchase things like this because of desire, because of want. Now, Want creates emotions. It's emotive. It's exciting. It's a rush. You're trying to get online. And then there's anger associated if you don't get your pair and blah, blah, blah. And it's very emotive. And so on one side, enthusiasts are pissed at the quote unquote scalpers and resellers for taking some percentage of pairs to resell and upsells to consumers who don't get there on time or don't get them right away. On the other side, resellers have businesses to run, and their businesses can run however they like. Like, in my opinion, it's a free market in most places, so they can run however they like. Frauds get found out eventually, and the market will equalize and neutralize shitty business dealings like it already has in the boot market. We've seen several scammer boot pages go under and delete their page or stop posting or whatever, because the market has said enough about them and they've been really stupid and done bad by people, and people hate that, right? So you have to differentiate between somebody who gets one or two pairs on two different websites and resells them to make some money versus the person who's actually scamming people and taking money for boots that they don't have. It's my opinion that brands and retail stores are partially responsible, not at fault, partially responsible for managing their stock and finding solutions to these scammer people. So, first problem that happened, one person, let's say I was ordering multiple pairs and I could order as many as I wanted to. And so I added like 6 pairs to my cart, and then I purchased them all and they all showed up to the same location despite me not being a retail store. And then I could take those 6 pairs, keep one for myself, and sell 5 for the price that well covered my costs of the one pair I kept, plus a ton of more money, right? The solution to that was limit 1 pair per customer. Okay, problem 1 solved. Scammers got more creative and they went one person using multiple accounts at the same time, different stuff. Solution, cross-reference, get the code, get whatever sort of backend you can to when you're processing orders, cross-reference any of those orders that have the same address, the same information, the same registration email, the same names, and make sure, really, that's kind of the best they can do in terms of making sure that if, let's say, I were to go and try to buy those 6 pairs and I went to Unisport and I logged in on 6 different computer screens and tabs and phones and whatever, and I ordered them all, but I ordered them all to the same address because this is like where I'm keeping my stuff at home or to my PO box or whatever, that group would find out that it was all going to the same address and they'd be like, sneaky, nice way. So that the solution then is a technology that cross-references things. And you see how that logic plays out, right? Resellers and, scammers will get more creative, and brands, I think, are responsible in order to keep their customers happy and their true customers, not like reseller customers, like enthusiasts like myself, are responsible to take care of their customers by getting more creative with their solutions. And that's what I think brands and retail stores need to pay more attention to. So definitely that's there. And then finally, a quick love note to all consumers. And I'm going to read this because I kind of had this written out. If you want a pair of football boots bad enough to pay the extra money for a pair of Hypervenom 1s, this remake, or the blue ones, the Hydra colorway, and you have the money for it, do not let anyone online tell you how to spend your money, as long as you're not being stupid. If you have the money for them and you want to pay 400 USD instead of the 280 or 300 or whatever these retailed for, I think you should do it. Don't tell anyone else. Don't let anyone else tell you not to. You benefit from having a dream pair, a nostalgic pair, a beautiful pair of football boots that you can enjoy and wear and do all that stuff. Again, I'm talking to consumers here, so the majority of you watching this. And the reseller and the retailer or the brand or whoever got the benefit of you handing them the money so that they make a little bit of money and you, in exchange, get a pair of football boots that you really want. I think that is awesome. That's just business. That's how the world works. If you're someone who feels frustrated by the resale prices of Hypervenom 1s that will eventually continue to climb all over the internet, don't buy them. You can make that choice. But don't get angry and play the victim when you don't have to spend your money. No one's forcing you to. You, as a consumer, will have to make the decision based on your desire for these boots and what you're willing to pay for them. That's called supply and demand. It's like economics 101. Don't be fooled by people telling you what to do or what not to do. Buy what you want to buy while being responsible. So don't put yourself into debt buying a pair of football boots. That's really stupid. But if you want to buy them and the only pair you can find are above retail and that's what you want, don't let any guy or gal tell you not to. Man, life's too short. Life's too short. All right. Section 3, market report. This has been a very long podcast already. Holy crap. Okay, we're going to whip through these. Resale market trends. As I said before, Hypervenom 1, 2, and 3 are all popping up in this period of time, just like I said they would. And then we will also see a influx of Hypervenom 1 Regen coming out on the resale market for increasingly expensive prices until it hits the ceiling. So for those, this is just an econ episode. There's a ceiling for every football boot and there's a floor for every football boot. So long, let's assume a brand new pair of every single boot. If all these were brand new, there's a ceiling, which is the very most the consumers or the market is willing to pay or accept payment at that level. And there's a floor, which is if this is a brand new pair in 10 years, are these going to be worth $100, $200? The lowest price that they will be acceptable and sort of hit a floor and sort of level out, that's your floor. So that's the least expensive price you'll ever pay for a pair of football boots of whatever silo it is, right? So that's the ceiling and the floor. There will be a ceiling for this Hypervenom 1 Regen. We'll hit it. You'll see a seller try and do some astronomical price to get some person to buy them. No one's going to pull the trigger and then they'll discount it. And then that's kind of the ceiling. So that's like the highest acceptable price for a pair like this. So that's ceiling versus floor. In terms of notable boots resurfacing, this is one of my favorite sections of the podcast. I love this section so much. We have 4 people who I saw, 4 dealers. One of them is kind of funny, but at Pickup Boots had 2 pairs of incredible early 2010s boots. One was the Nike Tiempo Legend 3 Elite World Cup 2010, so that match my World Cup 2000. It's that colorway in the Nike Tiempo Legend 3 Elite. They were one of my favorite boots. I actually owned that exact pair in my size, and they were awesome. By modern day standards, they're a very uncomfortable football boot, but they were the coolest thing I ever owned. And after watching that I bought them during the World Cup and they were just so cool. And I thought they were the bee's knees. So that's awesome. And then even cooler was actually a pair that I personally owned and had to sell when I moved to Australia just to save some room and space for stuff. And that was the Nike CTR 360 Maestri Elites, the original OG Elite model in that gorgeous royal sapphire blue ombre into black. You'll see photos up on screen, but God, those are beautiful. They're way too big for me, I think, in this size. But anyway, and then Unique Cleats at Unique Cleats. This is also what I mean by resellers are just a business. Sure, they sell football boots right now, but like Unique Cleats has a pair of 2 sizes of Alpha Fly 3s up on, which is a carbon race shoe for marathons. It's like, what? The rest of your posts are all football boots. Why are you selling Alpha Fly 3s? Well, because he can probably make money from them. So that's pretty cool. At the Boot Chef posted a pair of Hypervenom 1, one of the many resellers to post Hypervenom 1s. These, though, I wanted to point out because these are the black, blue, and Volt. And this was the colorway. I had 2 pairs of them, and I rotated one training, one game. And this was the pair that I wore senior year in high school, this exact colorway. Kind of an awkward color, but I thought they were dope, and I scored a lot of goals in them, and I had such good memories in them, and I loved, senior year soccer was amazing. So thank you at the Boot Chef. And then at Your Cleats Plug has a pair of size 10 US of those. The Tati Tiempo Legend 10. Not Tiempo Legend 10. What am I talking about? Wow, that's an insult. Tiempo Legend 5 special editions in the Tati. These ones are number, 2170. Yeah, 2,170 out of 3,000. So very, very cool. Now, in terms of stock availability and drops, quick section, Hypervenom 1 sold out in mere seconds in most markets. Unbelievable demand for a boot everyone used to love, despite the original having like quite a few shortcomings that I don't think people... Nostalgia is such a beautiful rose-tinted glasses. I think it's so funny how the rose-tinted glasses of some boots in the past are just hilarious to me. But hey, I fall prey to it all the time as well. So no hate, but it is pretty funny. And then I did want to make a quick shout out. I do have a friend of mine who I am homies with here in Melbourne who has a brand new pair of Tiempo Legend 9 Montebalunas. You'll see all the photos up on screen. They are an 11 US and 10 UK. They are brand new, unworn. They just don't have a box. They have the string bag. They're brand new. If you would like that pair, DM me at noah.cavanaugh on Instagram. I will just plug it there. All right, moving on to section 4, your questions. Now, I realize we are already well over an hour now, but thank you for sticking with me. We got to get back in the habit. Okay, so for getting back in the habit, I want you to post the gorilla emoji if you made it this far in the video. Gorilla emoji down in the description or down in the comment section. Gorilla emoji. So section 4, your question. So Jesus asks, what is the most memorable pair of boots you own? My most memorable pair is the Forge and Iron Superfly 5s, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Most memorable pair of boots you own. I love this question. Ooh. This is a tough one. So, okay. I would say the custom pair of Phantom GXs that I have. This is the pair of custom... Oh, they smell like shit. That's because I wore them an entire season. These are an AG pair of football boots that I custom made to have the color of Flower City Union, the black and pink. And this is the pair that I won. I had my number on the back as well and my wife's initials. And Phantom GX won in AG, and I won the national championship in that pair of football boots at a pro level, which was pretty sick. And then what else? I have memorable pairs. Ooh. That's probably my most memorable pair. There's a couple others that I really, really love. I really, really love those Tiempo Legend 4 Elites. I love the Phantom Ultras and the Hypervenom Phantom 3s in the white and the blue. Like, that's like my favorite Hypervenom colorway of all time. And then, maybe the two pairs of the Tiempo Legend 5s, the Ronaldinhos and the Tottis. Those are probably the other ones because those boots were just like the holy grail for me, and I always wanted a pair of those. But I'm going to answer, final answer is these beautiful GX2 customs in AG. I just think these are absolutely sensational looking. Awesome question. Thank you, Jesus. Lou asks, can you provide any insight on what is the difference between quality of adult boots and the kid version, assuming they're both elites? How would a kid's elite boot stack up against the adult's elite or pro? My assumption is that the elite kids boots are the same as the top ones, but I got to be perfectly honest with you, dude. I have no idea. Or dude or dudette. I don't know. Lou. That could be either. Anyway, clearly you're a parent. Our son is 11 and plays club soccer. Amazing. So, Lou, I don't know. I have never reviewed a pair of kids' boots, and I don't ever even go near them in like a store and stuff. The only ones I've seen are small, really small sizes of what I would assume are the top-end elite boots, so I think they're the same. But my thing is, if you want a pair of boots to last the entire season, I'd probably go, especially if he's 11, if your son's 11, he's probably still growing, and I do not want to tell you how to parent your children. my philosophy, the one that I grew up with, the best advice, here's what I'm going to say. The best advice I can give you is the one that I like, the way that I was parented, which I think was an appropriate way in this context, which was, you don't get a pair of elite top end boots until your feet stop growing, because we know that you're probably going to go through 2 pairs of boots a season. And instead of paying, $200, $300 for a pair of top end elite football boots, why not buy 2 pairs of $100 football boots while I'm still growing, so long as they fit you? Like, fit is the most important thing, but you can absolutely get a fit with a cheaper model or a takedown model. Get one that fits him, because he's probably going to grow. He's 11. He's going to go through a crazy growth spurt in the next 6-7 years, and then he'll hit a point where he's anywhere between 18 and 22 or 23. He'll stop growing. I pretty much stopped growing when I was 12 or 13. So I've grown like minor, but my feet have stayed the same size. So I've been a 9 US since I was like 13. So you only have a couple more years maybe. But I would just get takedown models that fit him really well. And then that way you're not spending elite money only to go back and be like, oh, he either broke them or he, doesn't fit in them anymore. So that would be my advice, Lou. So thank you for your question though. When I have my own kids in the near future, I will hopefully be able to share some more insights for parents who are trying to get the best equipment for their children. Bella asks, DS Lite X-Fly 5 or X-Fly Pro 3? Oh, I hate this question. I love both boots. If I had to pick one, see, I love silky wrap, but I can't get over how good the leather on the X-Fly 5 is. So it's a tie for me, kind of. We'll have to do a comprehensive comparison. I'm gonna go out to the pitch and have to try those on. But Bella, good question. I love both. If you are asking which one I would buy for yourself, I would probably go X-Fly Pro 3, just because it's a little more modern, and apparently Asics is moving to all synthetic soon. They're going away from leather, so you might as well start getting used to it now, even though the silky wrap feels a lot like leather. So that's the idea. Okay, Nick said, I'm really interested in buying a pair of Asics. Can you do a quick explanation of the differences in their current models? Well, Nick, you did say you watched all my videos, but if you did, you'd know the differences between them. Quick explanation, X-Fly Pro 3 is all synthetic and has a lighter weight sole plate. It's the highest tech model that they produce. The C3 is an all leather boot, compares to the Morelia 2. X-Fly 5 is their Morelia Neo 4 non-beta competitor that has leather in the forefoot, synthetic in the midfoot. And what is the other boot? Acros 3 is a mesh-based synthetic boot that has absolutely zero stretch, but it's essentially the same shape as the X-Fly 5. But watch my videos and pay attention, please. Kai asks, should people with larger feet above US 10.5 go half a size up for Asics, since the centimeter measurements run half a size shorter than Mizuno? Or should we go true to size? Go half a size up with Asics? No. Okay, Kai, you said you checked the size guide, but dude, in the size guide, I go half a size down with pretty much every Asics boot except for Acros and X-Fly Pro 3. So, no. Go true to size or half size down with Asics boots. And that's the same for Mizuno boots too. Brandon, which year of football boots was the best, in your opinion? Ooh. Everyone who answers this question is going to be a little bit biased, because they're going to probably say like the one that they remember the most. "2014 was amazing. Dude, honestly, 2024 was pretty insane. Like, we got some unbelievable football boots in 2024. There's sort of a dead zone between 19 and 23. Part of that because of COVID, probably. So, yeah, 19 to 23 was sort of like, eh. and pre 2011, 2012 was sort of like, ooh, we're getting into the territory of like those types of boots that are just, yeah, they're amazing and super nostalgic and techie and fun, but like, oh my God, they were a nightmare to play in. So if we're talking like objective quality of football boots, my nostalgia says 2014, but 2024 and now 2025 already have produced some of the greatest boots that we will look back on and go, whoa, those were good. You know, X-Fly Pro 3, GX1, GX2, Vapor 15, 16s. Like, there's been some insane models in the last year or so. So, Wave Cups, Mizuno. Yeah, it's just, those would be my answer. Good question, though. Roberto, is the TLSS Tactician better compared to the Tiempo? Oh, God. If you're assuming, okay, so if you're talking about Tiempo in general, no, because the Tiempo has, like, the Tiempo legacy has the heritage of all these different models. But if we're talking what I think you're asking, which is it better compared to the Tiempo 10? In every conceivable way. There's nothing about the Tiempo that I would trade for what the Tactician has at all. Nothing. Zero. Horrible question. No, great question, but a dumb one. You know what I'm saying? Alessio, would you say your foot shape fits a specific brand more than another, or is it more silo-based? No, it's completely silo-based. There are, for instance, let's look at Nike, and let's look at Adidas, and let's look at Puma. GX2 fits me perfectly. Vapor 16 Elite fits me like, okay, I can fit, but it's not super comfortable. Tiempo 10 doesn't fit me at all. Silo-based. Adidas Predator fits me perfectly. Copa fits me pretty well with some break-in time. It's all right. And the F50 fits me all right with some break-in time, but not great. Icon 2, perfect, right? So silo-based. Puma Ultra fits me pretty well with some break-in time. King fits me really well with a little bit of break-in time. And Future is the worst boot that's ever been created. Silo-based. Good question, though. Tony, last question. What are your business goals for the next 5 years? Oh, Tony, man after my own heart. Okay, if you've gotten this far, then thank you. And if you're still listening, I appreciate this, although this is the last question in an hour and 14-minute podcast already, so I understand if most of you have logged off since then. But for those of you who have stayed this long and are interested, my goal in the next 5 years is to have my own. I already have a consulting brand. I already have my personal brand and stuff, but I'd like to do a few things. I'd like to create either my own line within a company or create my own grip sock company. It's one thing that I'd really like to do. So whether it's working with a brand like WeFoot, somebody else, or create my own from scratch, then I'd really like to do that. It'd be convenient to work with somebody else because I don't really want to do it all my own because that would be stupid. Who, not how. And I'd like to have my own, well, it's not even I'd like to. I will have my own facility for product testing, for video content creation, podcast studio, even more upgraded. It'll be the best of everything. And it's going to have a field in it. We're going to do lots of like training sessions there. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I'll have my triathlon pain cave in there. So I'll do my, a heat session on the bike and the trainer and a treadmill and a gym and stuff like that. But the majority of that facility will be used for product testing and consulting and hosting people and doing events and stuff like that. So that is my 5-year plan. And then I'm going to be spinning up some technology in the next little bit as well. So that's coming soon. And yeah, those are some business goals of mine. They're not really goals because I know they're going to happen. It's just a matter of timing. So thanks, Tony. I really appreciate that. Like, it means a lot to me that you asked that question. Okay. That has been a wonderful podcast, very emotional. It's by far the best podcast. It was the most fun for me to make because I love ranting to you guys about random stuff in the boot market. I think it's very fun. DM me on Instagram at noah.cavanaugh if you are interested in those size 11 US Monteballunas, made in Montebelluna Tiempos. I will leave a link to the discount code for the Tiempos, which or Tiempo's discount code for WeFoot grip socks, which are underneath the camera. There you go. WeFoot grip socks. That's the only feet pick you'll see today. And just be cautious and remember, be responsible with your hard-earned money, but don't let anyone tell you you can't buy something that you've worked for and that you want. See you guys.